Samuel Adams Boston Lager Double Down video. Here is the new label from a company that is forever changing the label. That does not bother me. This beer was introduced, oh, it's got the date, guys. It says January 2017. That's very convenient. I bought this in a variety pack, the 12 pack for fall. It was $14.99 at Mathern's. And apparently the only store that sells this variety pack in this town. This beer is certified kosher. And it was introduced in 1984 and then extensively in 85 by Jim Cook. Now, James Cook marketed this as sort of a craft beer developed, basically cultivated the image of a craft beer developed in a home kitchen, you know, a quaint New England kitchen, and sold out of a quaint New England Boston craft brewery. This beer did help set off the craft beer revolution. It is an extremely popular product. There's a lot of controversy about it. 4.9% alcohol, 30 international bitterness units. The scores on Beer Advocate are not particularly good. On Rate Beer, the score is not so hot. I got it wrong. On Rate Beer, the score is not too hot. On Beer Advocate, they're saying very good, and the brews say outstanding. Excuse me for that mental lapse. I'm trying to think ahead. There's a book called The Craft Beer Revolution, and my daughter gave that to me for a gift, and the author goes into detail why he had this animosity towards Jim Cook. And I mean, it doesn't matter to me. If the beer's good, I'm going to drink it. Their feud goes back to the mid-'80s with the Great American Beer Festival, and I don't have a horse in the race. It doesn't matter to me either way. But according to that book, this beer was really a corporate product from the beginning. It was a well-connected Harvard MBA guy from a well-connected family, and he, in his opinion, he cultivated a false image of this folksy, homespun guy, but he was trying to do it, but always running it as a corporate, big-time corporate entity, trying to go for the gold there. And there's a whole thing about duplicitous business practices and everything. That's his opinion in the book. I don't really know. I know for years this beer was largely, to the very great extent, contract brewed in places like Cincinnati and at Miller Brewing Company. And so some people took exception. And I think when they had their feud developing, the people that didn't like Jim Cook were spreading stuff about him. And they were trying to let everybody know, oh, this is contract brewed, it's not a true craft beer. But, and then the Beer Brewers Association changed their rules to accommodate Boston Brewing Company. You know, you see the nice, creamy, slightly off-white head and the clear, bubbly, sort of amber, light amber appearance, similar to Dos Equis Ambar, actually, which is a lager like this one. And I believe the Dos Equis is 4.7, the Ambar, and this is 4.9. This is 175 calories. That's probably something like that. That's been on the market since 1897. This is since 1984/85. But anyway, I knew about that 20 years ago, that it was contract brewed. And I didn't care, personally. I didn't like the way they would try to make it seem like it was all made at the little quaint brewery. I already prayed. This is chunky sausage gumbo soup. Smoked sausage gumbo soup. I embedded the, I put some crackers in there. I embedded the cheese, the smoked, cherry smoked, apple smoked Gouda cheese down in there. Got some Dave's Insanity sauce. Just put black pepper. I don't put this on the Vienna sausages and crackers. It's just too peppery. But let's try to go with, okay, a good glob. Probably too big of a glob. That's more like 2.5 drops. Okay, so we'll get it good and mixed. So I remember talking about that, but when it hit the, when it started showing up around here around 1990, people were talking about it. I had a friend that used to love to drink, still does, I guess, drink Dixie beer and something like Miller Lite, and he said, I can't stand this beer. He thought it was too bitter because he wasn't used to the strong hoppy presentation of the product. And this really got people into noticing some piney and somewhat floral and rather bold hops. 30 IBUs today is not considered anything big, but at the time, 1985 to 90, it was like a huge deal. And it wasn't like people around here in Louisiana were getting Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. So this was sort of like an early craft beer experience. I never tried it till 96 because I never drank beer until February of 1996. But I tried it. I was impressed by the hoppiness. Now I find, as I've gotten used to it, like anything, even with the hot sauce, I used to think Tabasco was so hot. Now I realize it's so mild. But you get used to it. So now it just tastes more ordinary than anything. It's a nice maltiness, a good bold hop bitterness, a medium body, a good enjoyable finish. I'm not picking up any of the weird cornbread back flavors or undertaste that I was getting for about 2 years. I couldn't understand that. It didn't appeal to me. Now they have some of the, their own brewing facilities, so they're doing a lot less contract brewing. But that's a fascinating book. I would recommend it. You can get it at your library probably, or you can request it. I don't buy books myself. I always get them at the library or get them through the interlibrary loan. I don't want to store all the books. I have enough already. Yeah, a little too peppery. Well, overdid it, all right. It's hot too from heat. But for something like this sausage gumbo soup, yeah, it goes well. I think this would pair well with fried catfish and French fries, maybe hush puppies or fried shrimp, coleslaw, clam chowder would do very well with it. Yes, definitely. Oyster soup. And possibly crawfish bisque or crawfish etouffee. So it's still one of the big players. I've been reading articles that Samuel Adams is losing market share. That makes sense because there's such a glut of craft beers on the market. Everybody's trying to differentiate themselves, and that's why you have all the little peculiar type beers, which seems that people are starting to get sick of now. The gimmick beers, I call them. I think in the end, they might be okay because they put out some old reliables like this over 30 years now. Yeah, well, you say, wait a minute, Samuel Adams does gimmick beers. That's true, they do all the fall varieties. They have so many varieties of beer. They're not all that good. They do try to hit the mass market. So, like I was just commenting on some video beer reviews, a lot of their stuff I find is a little dull. Cold Snap. And what was the other one? Cold Snap, and just a whole bunch of them tend to be a little on the blah side. Not bad, never bad, but a little dull. Even this one's a little dull, but honestly, I can't say anything bad about it. They've corrected that strange cornbread undertaste. I know it had to be that. It wasn't me. Because other regular oat beers I was drinking, like Pabst Blue Ribbon or Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, for instance, they weren't presenting that strangeness. So I knew they were bringing production mostly over to their own facilities, which could have had something to do with it. It's pretty sweet. I like this almost candy sweetness. They're saying a 2-row pale barley malt blend, which is so typical for Samuel Adams, Boston Brewing Company. Caramel 60, Hallertau Mittelfrüh, and Tettnanger Noble hops. That's the lineup. I think a big part of this company's money today is coming from Twisted Tea and Curious Traveler, Shandy's, those Alco pops. They're probably making more, they may be making more money from those than the actual, what we would call legitimate beers. But obviously you're not going to hear a free market champion like myself criticize a company for trying to make optimum profits. I wouldn't criticize somebody for trying to get the most out of tax credits. If the law is available and you can work it to where you pay no income taxes for 30 years, that would be fine. That would be a very intelligent use of tax laws. Just bring that up as another point of reference. So, hey, you've probably had this before. If you have not, it is one of those beers you do need to try. It's in my book, 300 Beers to Try Before You Die. It is one of the classics that you do need to try. Don't pass up on it. It's not going to change your world unless you're the most exotic thing you've ever tried is Busch Light. So then it might be exotic. But anyway, so the soup is good. A little too peppery because of me going overboard with the Dave's Insanity sauce. But it's still working out. So a classic, and maybe I'll do a double down or a revisit of Samuel Adams Oktoberfest beer. Thank you for watching this more or less incredible video production. And y'all come on down to New Orleans.